Well, good afternoon. This is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred. Really glad you could join me today out here in the vegetable garden. It's a beautiful day here, mid-August. It's a nice low humidity day. Well, anyhow, today I thought we would go harvest some of my Sweet Million tomatoes. So thanks for joining me today out here in the vegetable garden. One thing I like doing out in the garden is experimenting with different variety of plants, and so this year I thought I would try the Sweet Million tomato plant. You know, if you buy them at the store, you know, normally they come with a little label there, but if you notice behind the label, you know, it gives you different times of when it matures and how to plant it, but it tells you to plant in full sun, but also says indeterminate here on the back. So you always want to take a note of that whenever you're looking at tomato varieties. Is it a determinate or a bush type tomato, or is it indeterminate? Which means, you know, they can grow anywhere from 6 to 12 feet long or more. In fact, right behind me here is where this Sweet Million tomato plant I grew for the first time in our garden. This is where it's growing up this trellis right here. And so, so far it's been doing pretty well. I also had a subscriber to my channel by the name of Yellow Groove asked me if I could do a short video or a quick video on harvesting these tomatoes. He had grown one in his garden where he lives and said it's like 10 feet tall, and I would say mine's probably close to about 10 feet tall as well. So let's take a closer look at these tomatoes. You know, another one of my favorite, or maybe the favorite tomato plant of mine that I grow in the garden is my Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. And I have a few of them in my hand here. And, you know, these Sweet Million tomatoes, when they reach maturity, they're a little bit larger than the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes, but they really are a nice sweet cherry tomato. Now last year, for the first time, I grew some yellow pear tomatoes, and they weren't near as sweet as the Sun Gold cherry tomatoes or even these Sweet Million tomatoes, but I just love how they look like grapes hanging there on the vine. And you do want to make sure you provide a good 8 hours of sunlight for these. You know, the more the better. Anything that has a fruit, you know, like peppers, tomatoes, melons, cucumbers, you know, they all like 6 to 8 hours of sunlight. I always say the more the better. You know, leafy greens you can get away with maybe 4 to 6 hours of sunlight. And you know, you always want to make sure you grow these in a good compost, a well-drained soil. I grow these in my composted leaf mulch that I have amended with topsoil, and then I also add alfalfa pellets throughout the season, and sometimes I even make an alfalfa tea out of my pellets and feed my plants the alfalfa tea. It's a nice slow release organic fertilizer. So why don't we start harvesting some of these beautiful tomatoes. Yeah, I just love coming out in the garden and eating vegetables right in my backyard, you know. I'm always amazed at how awful store-bought tomatoes taste in the wintertime. In fact, we don't even usually buy our tomatoes over the winter. Well, I'm starting to get a few tomatoes in the basket there. You know, another thing I would encourage you to do is when you plant your tomatoes, your cherry tomatoes, whether it's sun gold cherry tomatoes or yellow pear tomatoes or these sweet million tomatoes, is not to prune them. You know, don't take the suckers off. Let those suckers develop into a branch which will grow more tomatoes. Now you could take the suckers off the first couple feet, you know, and then after that just let the plant do its thing, you know, and you'll be amazed how many more tomatoes that plant will produce. And so just let it keep on growing. This will grow right up until our first frost, but you know, we also freeze our tomatoes. You can take these tomatoes here and just put them in I put them in a 1 gallon heavy duty freezer bag, and I can get over 200 of these tomatoes in one bag. I think last year I froze at least 3 bags of these tomatoes, and I use these tomatoes in my rice and beans or my chili, or you know, we also have a rice and bean wrap that we make, and I heat these up in a microwave in a bowl and then just use them in our wraps, or like I said, in our chili and rice and beans, and you know, they're just delicious and tasty. And it's nice knowing over the winter you can still have some organic tomatoes available out there in your freezer. So let me encourage you to think about growing sweet million tomato plants in your garden. I think they're definitely worthwhile growing in your garden. They produce a lot of nice, tasty cherry tomatoes. I know at the store, you know, you buy these little plastic cases of cherry tomatoes, and you know, they're rather expensive. So anyhow, if you have any questions or comments about this video, please leave them in the comment section below. And you can also visit us at plantsmartliving.com. And there you can learn more about gardening and also how you can reclaim your health by adopting a whole food, plant-based, vegan lifestyle. Well, anyhow, I just want to thank you for joining me out here in the vegetable garden. I hope you have a wonderful day today. So until next time, this is Plant Smart Living with Farmer Fred.